Welcome back everyone, Mariah Monetize here. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing what I said in my last video when I started selling off Ethereum at $4,200 and I think it was $24 or $44. Anyways, I'm going to be getting into that. And the truth of the matter is that I either got to start buying something or I got to start selling something. So I've been looking at the charts today, just, briefly, casually, but the truth of the matter is that I need to be making a decision, right? I sold off just 3 Ethereum, so a very, very small trade. I'm already in the profit, approximately $700 or so. So just going to be doing a very raw, honest video of my thought process through looking at the charts and making a decision on what my next move is. So if you saw my last video, I said Ethereum is about to crash. Let me just say this. Most of my video titles and thumbnails, they're cringy. I cringe every time that I have to post them. But the cringier they are, the more I cringe, the more views I get. So I just got to do it. And I thought my message was really good in that video. And I wanted people to click, and thankfully 3,000 of you clicked. So thank you for the 3,000 people that clicked. I can't say thank you to the people that told me I was making a massive mistake and it was, a bad decision that I was making, because although Ethereum hasn't crashed, it's down like 7 or 8% since I made that video, which is quite substantial, This is the thing, is that I'm in a unique situation. I pay 0% capital gains here in Puerto Rico. So for most people at this point in the market, it's really not worth it for you if you have not been a long-time trader to take on any trades and to risk having to buy back at a higher price. For someone like me, I enjoy risk. And you know what? I just like sharing what I'm doing. Never ever financial advice, okay? But honestly, if you took on the trade that I took, you would be in the profit. Although I've only profited about $700, that $700 could buy me approximately 0.15 of an Ethereum. And if Ethereum goes to $20,000, then my $700-ish profit turns into about a almost $3,000 profit over time. So that's what I'm looking for. Although the gain is small in the short term, if you think about the future price of the particular asset that you're potentially accumulating more of, then it becomes even more massive of a trade. And I showed you some calculations when I sold off 60 Ethereum, I think it was last month, for an average cost of $3,660, and I got back in around $3,200. So just kind of keep that in mind there. So on this particular video, let's go ahead and see. So after I posted that video, very, very shortly after, I went ahead and pinned a comment, okay? So I pinned a comment that basically said that I had sold 1 Ethereum for $4,224. And then shortly after that, I put another comment in here that said I sold 2 more for $41.88. So I've sold off 3 Ethereum. This is a very small trade for me, considering my last one was selling off 60 Ethereum. But this is the thing, it feels way higher risk at this point, because we're getting so close to parabolic move territory that it's so easy to get left behind. So for most people, it's just too risky to be trading up here. But you know what? I like risk, you guys. I've always taken big, massive chances. That is just how I live my life, and I like to share that with people. I'm not always making the right decisions, but I'm just making the decisions that are right for me. So Ethereum sitting at $3,954. So since the time that I sold off that first one, it was over here in, let's see, this range. And there was some price action on, I think it was a 30-minute or the 1-hour chart at the time. So over here in this range, Ethereum has dropped about 7% since then. Okay, I am feeling like I need to deploy all of my cash into the cryptocurrency space. This is the thing, is this pullback over, or is it just getting started? That's the main question, right? So I'm going to be talking about that and going over it today. Like I said, a very raw, transparent video that might be full of pauses, but I'm not really going to edit it too much, so stay tuned. So Ethereum here. Let's just go ahead and look at Ethereum in general. Let's zoom out to the daily chart. This looks really overextended to me. We really haven't had too many pullbacks on the daily chart when it comes to Ethereum, okay? So I was looking back, and I'll just go ahead and show you right now. I was looking back at 2017 on the Ethereum chart, and I was paying attention to pullbacks, not the frequency, but I was paying attention to the duration of the pullback. So let's kind of go to a similar, because, if you've been watching my videos for a while, the dates are literally matching up when it comes to Ethereum. And that's the reason why I took on this trade. I took on this trade mainly because over here, this is what I saw. We were approximately in this range over here. Excuse me. Are we in October? Yeah. And what I told you was that, we saw this move in 2017 through October, but then we saw a 20% pullback on Ethereum. And when I said crash in my last video, what I really meant was a 20% pullback, but I needed you to click on the video to watch it, and it worked. So if you look at the pullback, it took approximately a week, okay? So I'm anticipating something similar. I'm anticipating after about approximately a week, the pullback to be over on Ethereum. So I was paying attention to the duration of the pullbacks from 2017. So you could see here, like after the top was in, the pullback lasted, 5 to 7 days. It depends what day you count as a pullback, if it's the local top. Okay, and there was a lot of pullbacks that lasted like a few days. But then, this pullback that matches up in the same dates lasted more like a week. And then you saw, after this massive, massive run, pullbacks lasting, about a week. So it seems like the pullbacks are kind of like a 2 to 4 day thing, or like a 7 to 14 day thing. So I'm also paying attention to the duration of the pullback. So like, for example, here, this was in December. Ethereum hit a local top of 875, and then the pullback lasted until about the 31st. So it was about 11-day situation, and it also depends on what you consider to be the end of the pullback, right? So I would consider the end of the pullback to be like here, and then it started trending upwards. But everyone has their own definition of the end of a pullback. And then obviously the top was in over at around 1400, and then the pullback started. But I was trying to pay attention to the pullbacks during the bull run. Okay, so let's go ahead and fast forward to the current day, the current price of Ethereum. Look at the price action and look at the duration of the pullbacks, okay? So what do we see after this? We saw like a four candle pullback. And then you can kind of say this was like, a 2-day pullback. So I'm kind of anticipating. And if you look even before that, you could see this pullback that lasted, quite a bit longer, right? This was a major pullback that went from, it basically lasted an entire month. But then you could have said this was a little bit of a rally, and then this was like a 2-week pullback. So it seems like pullbacks last like 2 to 4 days, or like 10 to 14 is kind of what I'm seeing. I'm kind of anticipating a longer pullback that lasts about a week. And that's why I decided to sell off the 3 Ethereum that I did. Although I know it was a very small trade. But now it's like, I wish I would have just gone with my initial instincts, right? After I sold that first one at $4,224, I think it was. I should have gone with my initial instinct and probably sold off a little bit more. But in hindsight, it is what it is. I didn't feel as comfortable and as confident as I did for my previous trade, where I was selling off 30 here and 30 there. I felt a different level of confidence. In my last video, I told you I was only like 70 to 75% sure that it was the right decision and that I wanted to see more clarity. And that was mainly because there was a little bit more room for upside. So I made that video on the 25th, and there was still more room for upside, right? We even saw the high of today came in at about just over 4,300. So the pullback hadn't started yet. And that's why I was kind of nervous to get in on a bigger position, because I wasn't sure how much more upside there was. I didn't though, and I should have thought about this even more, I didn't think that Ethereum was going to break above its previous all-time high. So remember I told you that basically what's going to happen is Ethereum is going to keep taking shots at the previous all-time high, and every time it takes shots, it's going to get weaker. So that's good, right? We saw this on October 21st. I would say a contesting price range that's taking shots at previous all-time highs. And even same thing with today, right? Just like, less than $100 of a difference. So let's go in and take a look at the 12-hour chart. Also, I'm basically putting all my money on exchanges. Whether I use it or not, I'm kind of getting ready to go all in. Technically, I should have already been all in, but I had some other money come through, And I'm ready to just, I don't know, I'm just feeling the overwhelming need to deploy all of my money into the cryptocurrency space. So I just moved some money over into Coinbase just because it's instant transactions. So let me just kind of show you here the open orders I just put in. I put in a buy order for Ethereum at 3,700, although I do think Ethereum is capable of testing, 3,500. But I'm not trying to catch the bottom here. I'm just trying to make a profitable trade. So I have one full Ethereum order in at 3,700. I have half of Ethereum set to buy at 36.68. And then another one, or 0.119 of Ethereum at $3,555. You're like, where do you get these numbers? Honestly, random. Like, I'm never going to put in a buy order at 3,800 or 3,900 because there's a lot of thickness in the order book at those price ranges, and I feel like you're less likely to get filled. So I like just putting in random numbers for my buy orders, and that has, worked out for me. I take approaches that are unconventional, but honestly, it works for me. Like in school, I was always the one that did math problems like very out of order compared to everyone else, but always got to the same solution. That's just how my brain works. It kind of works in an unorganized fashion. I'm quite unorganized, to be honest, and that's just how my brain functions, and I don't know how to train it to do anything differently. So this is a 12-hour chart here on Ethereum showing some weakness. It did not make a higher high, it made a lower high. So the low of this candle right here is 39.40, the low of this one 39.45. So technically this red 2 has not traded below the red 1, but I'd be keeping a very, very close eye on that. I think if it goes below it, it's more room for the downside. And I'm looking at this DMA right here. This DMA is where I think Ethereum's going to flirt with that range. So right now it's sitting at about 34.80, but over time this is probably going to go a little bit higher. So maybe it takes, let's see, we're kind of on like day 2 of a pullback. So like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would kind of anticipate the DMA to be up here. So maybe between 3,600 and above is where you kind of look for that pullback. Also pay attention to the low of this previous low of 36.43. So 36.43, I would be paying attention there in that range. It might go a little bit lower, but we're not ever going to catch the bottom. I mean, if you do, congratulations, but I'm not looking for perfection here. I'm just looking for profits. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on the 12-hour chart. And then at the 4-hour chart, 4-hour chart is also looking weak, making a lower low. So we're just seeing weakness across the board. And this is what I was anticipating. The last time I made the video 2 days ago, there was no signs of a trend reversal. But for me, I was just like, we've gone up too quickly, we've gone up too fast when you compare the dates as 2017, which if I would have just sat on my computer the last 6 months and traded based off the lineup of the days from 2017 and how they're correlating, it's literally like 5 or 6 days off. It's like unbelievable how similar the price action is. And so if I would have just sat on my computer for the last 6 months, could have made a lot more. But the truth of the matter is that I kind of just prefer to have more fun right now. I might look back and regret not taking advantage of this massive opportunity. I'm also taking into consideration the fact that I don't even know if I'm going to have service this weekend. I'm headed over to a different island. I don't know what the service situation is going to be like, so I have to be very careful. I don't really feel comfortable because I'm leaving tomorrow. I don't feel comfortable taking on this massive trade because I don't know what my service is going to be like. And I don't want to be in a losing position and completely miss out if I do not have service. So that's also why I don't really feel super comfortable when it comes to taking on a massive trade, because I don't even know if I'm going to have access to like fast enough internet. Okay, back to the 1-hour chart. Yeah, 1-hour chart looking weak. It obviously topped over here. So I made my video I made it on the 25th. So over here in this range, which was like, look how good the chart was doing. Higher highs, lower highs, and then the pullback started, and then right here was a massive sign. That's when I was definitely, it was huge red flag. A lower high was made, and that's what made me definitely want to start, I sold off 2 more, nothing major, but if I would have just gone with my initial thought process, it would have been quite nice. And another thing too that I'm thinking about as I'm entering this small trade is that this is what I've learned. the most profit to be made, and this is a lesson that has taken me years and years to learn. For example, I sell off my Ethereum at $4,224. Then I saw the price of Ethereum today at $4,000. I'm like, awesome, I just profited approximately $200. And although that is great for a very short period of time, and it's something to be grateful for, and I mean, how can you make $200 much easier than that, right? This is what I do know. The better buying opportunity is usually happening when you have a lot more patience. And with my Ethereum trade, when I sold 60 Ethereum, the reason why that was so profitable for me was because I was truly, truly patient on that pullback. And every single time before, my trades have not worked for me because I am not patient enough. And although it's exciting to be like, my trade is in the profit, I can get back in, I can accumulate more Ethereum, usually the bigger opportunity comes with more patience. So that is by far one of the main learning lessons I have learned with trading, is that patience typically pays off. So keep that in mind and just be aware of yourself. And I was aware of it today, right? When I was like, I should just buy back in at 4,000, right? I would, make $200, be able to accumulate some more Ethereum. So the 1 hour chart looks quite ugly, I would say. There is no signs of really a reversal change. When you look at the DMA on the 1 hour chart, it also lines up at about $3,500, so keep that in mind. The previous pullback that lines up with the dates was a 20% pullback. So let's just double check here from the very top what we're at in terms of a percentage. So far Ethereum has pulled back about 9%. So keep that in mind. And if it's, well, let's see here. Let me go ahead and change my chart really quickly. So, like I said, I was anticipating like a 20% pullback. That would take us, if you take this here as the top at about 3,900 and you put a 20% pullback, that puts us at about 34.48, which also lines us up with this DMA. It's like, I don't know. I'm going to look back and be like, dang, Mariah, that was like the easiest trade. You could have made so much money, but you second guessed yourself. But you know what? Every time you do this, it's just an opportunity to learn. And that's what you have to do. And even if you're just playing with small amounts of money, they're massive, massive learning lessons and opportunities. So the 30-minute chart looks super ugly. It looks like there's way more room for downside. As I look at this, for every second that goes by that I look at this chart, I'm like, okay, time to sell more. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and actually do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and put in a market sell order, because on Gemini, it doesn't matter if it's a limit or a market sell, you actually pay the same amount in fees. So keep that in mind. Some exchanges, it depends if it's a limit or a market order. Like sometimes you'll pay less in fees for a limit order, but with Gemini, it doesn't matter. You pay the same, or at least for the first tier. So I'm going to go ahead and sell off 2 Ethereum here. Let's see. Yeah, well, actually, before I do this, we're going to back up just a little. And sometimes I forget to do this, but I'm glad I'm remembering now, because I'm going to go ahead and check the 5-minute time frame. So this is what I've done. I've gone to the daily chart. I've backed myself up to the 30-minute chart. I have just come to the conclusion here that I want to sell off some more Ethereum, okay? But before I do that, it's always nice to look at the 5-minute chart. And so what I'm seeing here is a continuous downtrend on the 5-minute chart, but I'm seeing a little bit of an uptick. If you just see here, it's bounced about $25. And for me, like, I'm enjoying that. It's probably going to get rejected by these moving averages, but I'm even going to go to a smaller level time frame. I'm going to go to a minute. Okay, I'm going to keep an eye on the 1 minute, and I'm just going to watch this 1 minute chart. So what I'm going to do is this. Instead of selling 2, I have no method to my madness. I'm telling you. If like any legit trader watched my videos, they would be like, this is trash. This is like trash trading. But you know what? It just works for me. So, and honestly, I don't know anyone else on the internet that takes this odd approach that I do. So I think it's valuable. It's just a different perspective. So I'm going to go ahead and just sell off 1 Ethereum. Okay. All right. Just sold an Ethereum at, wait. Yeah, okay. thought for a second I accidentally sold Bitcoin. I just sold one Ethereum at $39.71. As you could tell, it's gone up a couple dollars since then. And we're getting some like decent price action, a little bit of volatility. Okay, see this right here? This is interesting. So we just made, and that's exactly what I was looking for on this 1 minute chart. We made a higher high on the 1 minute chart. So we might be seeing a bit more price action to the upside. And this is just the 1 minute chart though. And I'm glad I was patient and I waited just a few more minutes because I was able to sell it for like $20, $25 more than I was originally going to. But this is the thing, is that although this price action looks exciting, we're making higher highs, this is the 1 minute chart. And I'm still not that convinced because I would want to see basically this green moving average crossing over the red on the 5 minute and get above the high of this candle, which is approximately $4,000. Okay. And then when you go to the 30 minute chart, it's just like so much downside, like no momentum change, I guess you could say. So just going to go back to the 1 minute chart here on Ethereum. Okay. Something else I wanted to mention. This video is going to be long, but I think there's a lot of valuable nuggets in it. Okay. This is what I want to show you. If you notice, Bitcoin led the way in price action and Ethereum followed. And I'm going to go ahead and put these two little friends side by side. I guess some people would say they're enemies, but I would say Ethereum and Bitcoin are partners in crime. Okay, they both serve two different purposes. All right. So what I noticed, and I didn't mention this on my previous video, but what I noticed, because Ethereum was in an uptrend and it was showing a ton of strength. And I noticed this after I made the video, because I made the video here on the 25th. This is the daily chart on both. I noticed that Bitcoin had already started pulling back, but Ethereum hadn't really quite pulled back yet. So in this situation, Bitcoin led the way. So you could have used Bitcoin as a sign to show you that Ethereum was probably going to follow suit. And that is exactly what happened. So keep an eye on that, because you could have easily missed that they were kind of like they weren't quite correlating as much. And that could have given you a clear sign that Ethereum was going to follow. And looking back now, that was kind of like the clear sign for me to exit more of my Ethereum position, was when I realized that Bitcoin had already started pulling back and that Ethereum was absolutely going to follow. I think the biggest correlation, the biggest difference when they're going to correlate the least is after Bitcoin peaks. I think it's going to take some time, like about 2 to 3 weeks after that for Ethereum to peak. And that's where the most, the difference, like that's when the correlation is going to end, is when Bitcoin hits the top, then Ethereum is going to have its time to shine. And then see you in 4 years, probably, for the new bull market to return. So I showed you my Ethereum. When it comes to Gemini here, I just sold off one for $39.71. I'm going to go ahead and head over back. This is very long-winded, but you're just kind of getting like my thought process in a very unpolished format on when I approach these charts. And I am such a rookie. I will not claim to be an expert at all on this. Okay. This is, let's see. So let's go back to Ethereum. So yeah, oh gosh. I really think that this pullback's just getting started. I think Ethereum has a lot more room for a pullback. I truly, truly believe that. Although I'm having a really, really hard time selling off more. Because it goes back to what I just told you of like, we're getting so close to parabolic moves, you know? Like, is it really worth it? Or am I just being too greedy, you know? You have to really ask yourself all of these questions. So I'm going to go over to Gemini, and I am feeling very inclined to sell another Ethereum, which I just did. I just sold one at $39.65. So this is bringing my average sell price down just a little bit, but I'm definitely okay with that. I know that if I want to be most profitable on this trade, I'm going to have to be extremely, extremely patient. So let me see here. Do I have GUSD? Okay, so I have $10,000 of GUSD that I also need to spend here on Gemini. It's really challenging because I don't know if I'm going to have service tomorrow. Shoot. Okay. Well, let's take a little bit of a look at Bitcoin and where it's going. I definitely anticipate it to go down here to like 57. But look, if it does what I'm kind of anticipating Ethereum to do and meet this DMA, then that takes us to the $52,000 range. And when I look at that, I also look at the high of this candle right here, which typically 52,800. I think the buying opportunity, like, shoot. But then I'm like, is that 30% pullback still coming? And that's likely too. So I think that after this pullback, that could take us to like $90,000 to $100,000. Okay. Let's say, for example, we get a pullback at $92,000, and that's the 30% pullback. That takes us to about $63,000, $64,000. There's just a lot going on these charts, and I'm having a hard time finding clarity because the last time I made that trade, I just felt so much clarity, and I can't say I'm feeling the same clarity. So I'm almost 30 minutes in on this video. Let's see here. Whew. So yeah, I'm gonna start putting in after the Ethereum that I've sold. I'm gonna start putting buy orders in at about probably between 3,600 and 3,700. And as I'm looking at the price, 3,700 is only like $250 away from the current price. And it's easy to be like, is it really worth the $250? But think about it like this: $250, but what if Ethereum 5x is $1,250? Not bad. So I'm going to end this video here because I've actually reached a point where me talking out loud is actually clouding my thoughts, and my room's getting really hot and I need to turn the air conditioning on. So I hope you enjoyed this brain dump of just all of my thoughts and my rant, but I think it's important to kind of just like see how I perceive the charts and my thought process in, buying or selling, and it's scattered and it's unorganized, but that's just how I do things. So that's all I have for you today. As always, go out there and create a portfolio that you love.